Week 6 of the 2013 NFL season has arrived. These weeks are just flying by, as they always seem to. Several interesting games on the slate here in Week 6. I would like to talk about a few now quickly. Of course, we'll preview every game in detail here on BETDAQ NFL, so we hope you check back over the course of the week. Would like to talk about a few of these games now, though, starting with the Thursday night game. The New York Giants going on the road to face the Chicago Bears. Chicago a 9.5-point favorite on BETDAQ, 47 the total here. Bears off to a 3-2 start in Mark Trestman's first year. They've lost 2 games in a row, though, so they'll be looking to get back on track. The bigger story here, though, is the New York Giants. The Giants at 0-5, they're blown out every week. They've lost their last 4 games by 15 points or more. Yet people still view this team differently than, say, the Jacksonville Jaguars. People are still waiting for this team to wake up and become if not a good team, a decent team. And that's because we've seen this group, this core group, have success recently. 2 years ago winning the Super Bowl, last year finishing 9-7. We know Eli Manning is an excellent quarterback. We know the Giants have an elite receiving core, and even this season, when everything is falling apart, the Giants still a top 10 passing offense. So bettors have been waiting on the Giants to come around, but it just has not happened. This will be a test of bettors' faith, I think, here, as the Giants are almost a double-digit dog on the road against the Bears. Again, the Bears, even though they do have a winning record, they have not been great. They've struggled in the secondary, 24th in the NFL against the pass. As we mentioned, passing the football is the only thing the Giants still seem to be able to do. However, are you going to trust the Giants in that defense that is last in the NFL in points allowed? They have allowed 31 or more points in every game, and Chicago has been pretty good on offense this year. They've been much improved under Mark Trestman. Chicago scored at least 24 or more in every one of their games until last week's loss to New Orleans when they were held to 18. So you've got a team in the Bears who've been able to score some points. The Giants haven't been able to stop anybody from scoring, but a big number here like 9.5. I tell you, the bet that I like here is the over, 47 the total here. That just feels kind of low. I realize the Giants offense hasn't really got going the last few weeks. They did score 21 against Philadelphia last week, but that Eagles defense is very bad. In weeks 3 and 4, the Giants offense was totally shut down. Still, I have a feeling against the Chicago defense, they're going to get it rolling a little bit. And we haven't seen the Giants defense stop anybody, so I don't think we should expect them to slow down Jay Cutler and company. So over 47, I think, is my favorite bet in that game. Be interesting to see if the Giants can finally wake up, or if there is no wake up for this team and they are just horrible. We'll find out, I guess. But we've been saying that for the last couple of weeks. Will the Giants wake up? Will the Giants wake up? 1 or 2 more performances like this, and we'll just officially declare them horrible and dead and buried. Another team in a similar situation is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Pittsburgh's 0-4, not 0-5, because they had a bye last week after they had to travel to London. They're going on the road to face the New York Jets on Sunday. Jets have been a real surprise team, stunned everybody, myself included, by beating the Atlanta Falcons on the road on Monday Night Football. Jets now sit at 3-2. They've won both their home games this season. When I saw this game, before I saw what the line was, before the lines were released, I was thinking, man, they maybe pick them, Jets by 1 or 2, Pittsburgh by 2.5. So it just goes to show you, perception is everything when it comes to, certainly when it comes to setting lines, when it comes to handicapping. And the perception of the New York Jets heading into the season was they were a total disaster, especially on offense. And the perception of the Pittsburgh Steelers for the last several years has been that they are a solid, good football team. And heading into this season, Mike Tomlin was 32 games over 500 as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but had a losing record against the spread. The Steelers are chronically overvalued. They're a really good team. They're just not as good a team as people seem to think they are on a yearly basis. That being said, man, this Pittsburgh defense facing Geno Smith, and I know Geno had a good game against the Atlanta Falcons, only threw 4 incompletions, did not turn the ball over. However, I cannot erase from my memory some of those performances I saw the first quarter of the season. Through the first 4 games, Geno Smith turned the ball over 11 times. That was on a pace to dwarf Mark Sanchez's worst turnover numbers, and we know the Pittsburgh Steelers still in the top 10 in every major statistical category on defense. They're still getting it done on that side of the ball. Now, Pittsburgh has really been struggling offensively, and the Jets are playing really good on defense themselves. We see a low total here of 40. I certainly would have a lean towards the under there. And man, it's hard for me to turn away from Pittsburgh in this spot. Just the vision of Pittsburgh's defense going up against that Jets offense, their rookie quarterback Geno Smith. However, I was shocked the Jets won on Monday night. So, like everybody else, I'm very surprised the Jets are 3-2. I expect them to start losing games soon, but hey, who knows? I mean, they've been proving me wrong thus far. I was on them a couple of weeks ago at home against Buffalo when they faced another rookie quarterback. Against Pittsburgh in a must-win situation for the Steelers, just not sure I can go there with the New York Jets. Again, Pittsburgh a 2.5-point favorite on BETDAQ. Let's talk about another winless team. I guess I'm fascinated by all the winless teams here this week. The Jacksonville Jaguars going on the road to face the Denver Broncos. Denver opened as a 28-point favorite in Vegas. That number was bet down quickly. It opened at 26 on BETDAQ. Broncos currently installed as a 26-point favorite on BETDAQ. 53 the total here. Before we talk about this game, while we're at the totals, because we've sort of leaned toward a total here in these first two games we've talked about, lean towards the over in the Giant-Chicago game and the under in the Pittsburgh-Jets game. The total of this Jacksonville-Denver game is 53. Now the Broncos, at a record-breaking pace on offense, they have scored more points through the first five weeks of the season than any team in NFL history through 5 games of the season, through 5 games of a season, And the Jaguars are allowing 32.6 points per game. So, I'm sorry, but the total of 53 feels a little low here. I mean, Denver, they've scored over 50 points back-to-back games. They very well may score 53 themselves in this game. I realize the Jaguars are averaging less than 10 points per game, so I know that's part of the reason for the total here. 42-7 comes in as an under here, and so I'm sure under bettors will be using that type of logic. And 42-7 is the type of score we could see in this game. Again, a 26.5-point number. That is the largest in the NFL since the AFL-NFL merger in 1970. The 76 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, widely viewed as one of the worst teams in NFL history, they were a 26-point underdog in one of their games. There has never in NFL history been a bigger underdog than that until this week. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who through 5 games look like the worst team in the history of the NFL. All kinds of stats to back that up. They are last in the league in total offense, points scored, rushing defense. The only reason they're not last in the league in passing defense is because teams routinely have such a big lead, they just pound the ball, run the ball throughout the second half. So Jacksonville obviously little or no chance in this game. However, are you really going to lay 26.5? Boy, I tell you, since 1981, there have been 7 teams in the NFL that have been favored by 21 points or more. Those teams only 1-6 against the spread. So very, very tough to cover a number like this. However, Denver, a historically great offense. The Jaguars appear to be a historically bad team. So this could be that rare instance where, hey, a Denver bet might turn out to be a good idea. I mean, the Broncos will probably have a 21-point halftime lead. So at that point, a Denver minus 26.5 bet would probably be feeling pretty good. But I just can't get past the fact in my head or the scenario in my head that the Jags could be down 31 points at the end of the game and could score a garbage time touchdown, and you would lose if you had Denver laying the points. So I don't think I'll be laying 26.5 here, but I sure am not backing the Jags. They have not come close to covering this season. They've lost all 5 of their games by double digits. A loss on the road to the St. Louis Rams last week. A game, the Jags only lost by 14, so it appeared to be one of their better results, but the Rams had a 2-touchdown lead at halftime, controlled the game throughout. The Rams are one of the worst teams in the NFL. So little or no hope, obviously, for Jacksonville this week. Should be noted though that Denver ranked 31st in the NFL in total defense. Obviously, they gave up gobs of yardage to Tony Romo and the Dallas Cowboys last week. But Denver was struggling on defense heading into that game. So the Broncos not playing very well at all on defense. It just goes to show you how good that offense is and how bad the Jacksonville Jaguars are when a team that is ranked next to last in the NFL in total defense is the biggest favorite we have ever seen in NFL history. That is the Denver Broncos on Sunday. We'll see if they can cover that number. Last game I want to talk about here quickly, maybe the best game on Sunday, the New Orleans Saints traveling to New England to face the Patriots. New England a 1-point favorite on BETDAQ, 49.5 the total here. Patriots coming off a tough loss to Cincinnati Bengals. We know the story with the Patriots. Their offense has not been the same this season. Now, they did get Danny Amendola back last week. He wasn't much of a factor. And we're hearing they may get Rob Gronkowski back this week. So we'll see if they can get things going against a Saints defense that allowed more yardage than any defense in NFL history last season, but a defense that is totally different this season. The Saints, a top 5 defense through 5 weeks. It's incredible. We keep on waiting for this defense to get exposed and to revert to last season's form, or at least something close to it, some sort of middle ground, because they've been one of the best defenses in the NFL this year. But as the weeks progress, I'm just not sure it's going to happen. I mean, they've faced some good offenses, and they have slowed down or shut down those offenses. They'll face another one here on Sunday. Even though New England has had problems on offense, you still have to categorize this as a good offense, especially if Rob Gronkowski is going to be back in the fold this week. Patriots have also been playing pretty good defense this year. Bill Belichick's team's finally back to playing some of that Belichick defense. And of course, Belichick, was known as a defensive guru, mastermind. They even threw around the word genius a few years ago. But all that talk's pretty much dissipated as the Patriots have had one of the league's worst defenses for the past few seasons. I'm sure Patriots fans aren't complaining about the results as a whole, though, and they are playing better on that side of the ball this year. Will it be enough against the Saints and that high-powered offense? Saints are just incredible. I go on frequently here on BETDAQ NFL about the Saints because I like betting on the Saints, especially when they're at home. Saints 19-5 in their last 24 home games, despite being favored in 22 of those 24 home games. Think about that for a second. They've been favored in 22 of their past 24 home games and have covered 19 times. People know they're going to win. The lines are set accordingly. The Saints cover those numbers anyway because of their great offense. So, if you've caught on to this over the last couple of years like I have, you probably like the Saints too because they've probably made you a little money. They're not the same team on the road, though. To be honest with you, I was a little surprised they were able to steal a road win in Chicago last week. Not that I don't think the Saints are better than the Bears. I think they are. But in years past, the Saints tend to drop road games against tough teams like this. Statistically, their offense, in years past again, has been down across the board, yards per game, points per game, pass yards, when they leave that fast track on the Superdome. As we mentioned, New England has been playing well. However, New England's a favorite here. This is based a lot on reputation. You break down what's happened this year, much like the Pittsburgh-New York Jets game we talked about a few minutes ago. If you discount last season and years past, and in the NFL more than any other sport, we should do that. We see it every year, the turnarounds from one year to the next. The Kansas City Chiefs, 2-14 last year, worst team in the NFL, 5-0 this year. The Atlanta Falcons almost made the Super Bowl last year, 1-4 this season. They appear to be one of the worst 6 or 8 teams in the league, and now we're hearing Julio Jones might be out for the season. So, it's a disaster for the Falcons. We see things like this happen every year. So, just because New England is New England, and they've won a whole bunch of games, even more than New Orleans over the last several years, you look at what these two teams have done this season, New Orleans has been better on defense, and they have been much, much better on offense. But as bettors, it is so tough to discount what we've seen in the past. I mean, what did I just reference about New Orleans? 19-5 against the spread their last 24 home games. That's burned into my mind. What is that stat? That's the past. I mean, those 24 home games, those were over the past couple of years. So we say we don't want to live in the past and we just want to live in the recent past because obviously we have to go on what we've seen this season at least. But it's tough. It's so tough to do that. And just seeing New Orleans over the last few years struggle in spots like this, it's going to be tough for me to back them on Sunday, I think, against New England. But I'm really looking forward to that game. It will be one of the best of the week. Several more good games. Only got to 4 of them here. Many more good games, and we'll preview them all in detail here on BETDAQ NFL. So like I said, I do hope you check back over the course of the week. Until then, for BETDAQ NFL, I'm John Arnette.